The Quiet Neighbor setting, the year 2387. Humanity has been part of the Galactic Council for 50 years. Earth's colonies spread across 12 star systems, but humans keep to themselves. They trade peacefully, share basic technology, and avoid conflicts. Main characters: Captain Rex Stone, commander of the human trade vessel; Aurora Dr. Maya Bell, chief medical officer; and xenobiologist Admiral Vex, leader of the Koran Empire. Fleet Ambassador Tom Gray, human representative to the Galactic Council. The setup: the galaxy knows humans as the quiet species. They arrived late to galactic civilization, built modest colonies, and never caused trouble. Other alien races see them as weak but useful traders. The Koran Empire, a militaristic species that conquered 12 worlds in the past century, views humans as easy targets. The incident: Captain Stone's trade ship Aurora carries medical supplies to the colony world of New Hope. The ship also transports 50 human children from Earth to reunite with their families. A voyage should take 3 weeks through safe space lanes. The attack: Admiral Vex intercepts the Aurora at the edge of the Kepler system. The Koran fleet surrounds the defenseless trade vessel. Vex demands the humans surrender their cargo and ship when Captain Stone tries to negotiate, explaining they carry medical supplies and children. Vex laughs. "Your species is soft," Vex says over the comm. "You will learn to serve the Koran Empire or face the consequences." The mistake: Captain Stone offers to give up the cargo but asks to keep the children safe. Admiral Vex sees this as weakness. To send a message to all human colonies, he orders his ships to fire on the Aurora. The human vessel, with its light shields and no weapons, takes heavy damage. The tragedy: the attack kills 37 people, including 22 children. Dr. Bell works desperately in the medical bay, but the damage is too severe. Captain Stone sends a final message to Earth before the ship's power fails. "They crossed the line. They killed our children. Remember us." The aftermath: the Koran Empire broadcasts the attack across the galaxy as a warning. "This is what happens to those who refuse to bow to Koran power," Admiral Vex announces. The galactic community watches in silence. Many species have suffered similar attacks. They expect humans to surrender or flee like others before them. The silence. For 3 days, no human ships appear in space. Earth's colonies go dark. The Galactic Council receives no response from Ambassador Gray. The galaxy assumes humans are preparing to surrender or evacuate their colonies. The miscalculation. What the galaxy doesn't know is that humans have been hiding their true nature. 50 years of peace made everyone forget that humans evolved from predators. They survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that would have destroyed other species. Their quiet behavior was choice, not weakness. The gathering. On Earth, the Human Defense Council meets in emergency session. Fleet Admiral Kate Ross reviews the footage from the Aurora. The images of dead children spread across every human world. Something ancient and terrible awakens in the human psyche. "They want to see what humans are really like," Admiral Ross says quietly. "Let's show them." The preparation. Across human space, hidden shipyards activate. Military vessels thought to be decommissioned power up their engines. Weapons that were retired after the peace treaty load fresh ammunition. The human war machine, sleeping for 50 years, opens its eyes. The message. Ambassador Gray finally responds to the Galactic Council's calls. His message is simple. The Koran Empire has attacked civilian vessels and murdered human children. We consider this an act of war. We will respond accordingly. The warning. Species that have dealt with humans longer than others begin to worry. The Altari, who first encountered humans during their expansion, send urgent messages to their allies. Do not underestimate the humans. Their history is written in blood. They do not start wars, but they finish them. The countdown, as Part 1 ends, human fleets begin moving toward Koran space. The galaxy watches nervously, still not understanding what they have unleashed. Admiral Vex celebrates his easy victory, planning to attack more human colonies. The foreshadowing. In the final scene, Captain Stone's daughter, Commander Lisa Stone, stands on the bridge of the battleship Vengeance. She holds her father's final message and looks out at the stars. "They crossed the line," she whispers. "Now they'll learn why we stayed quiet for so long." The stage is set for humanity to reveal its true nature to a galaxy that mistake kindness for weakness. 3 days after the Aurora massacre, the Koran Empire expected surrender. They expected fear. They expected humans to beg for mercy like the other species they had conquered. Instead, they got silence. Admiral Vex sat in his command chair aboard the battleship Dark Fang, reviewing reports from his scouts. No human ships had been detected in any of the 12 systems humanity called home. Their colonies remained dark, communications cut off from the outside galaxy. "They are hiding like frightened animals," Vex told his officers. "Prepare the fleet to attack their nearest colony. We will drag them out of their holes." But as the Koran fleet moved toward the human system of Alpha Centauri, something unexpected happened. The stars began to move. What the Korans thought were distant stars were actually human ships. Hundreds of them. They had been waiting in the darkness, engines cold, weapons powered down. For 3 days, they had surrounded the Koran fleet without being detected. The reveal Captain Jake Miller commanded the human battleship Thunder. His ship was 3 times larger than anything the Korans had ever seen humans build. Its hull was black as space itself, covered in armor that could stop the heaviest weapons. "All ships, this is Miller," he broadcast on the human command frequency. "Light them up." Across the star system, human vessels activated their engines. The darkness erupted in points of light as hundreds of ships revealed themselves. The Korans found themselves surrounded by a fleet that dwarfed their own. "This is impossible," Admiral Vex whispered. "Where did they get such ships?" His answer came from Captain Miller's transmission. "Admiral Vex, this is Captain Miller of the Human Defense Force. You murdered our children. You attacked our civilians. You crossed a line that should never be crossed." The first strike, the human attack, was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of charging forward in a massive assault, the humans moved with deadly precision. Their ships worked together like a pack of wolves, cutting off escape routes and isolating enemy vessels. Commander Lisa Stone, aboard the Vengeance, targeted the Koran supply ships first. "Cut off their fuel and ammunition," she ordered. "Make them helpless before we destroy them." The human weapons were more advanced than anyone had imagined. Energy beams that could cut through Koran armor like paper. Missiles that could track targets across vast distances. Shields that absorbed enemy fire and converted it into more power for their own weapons. The galactic response across the galaxy. Other species watched the battle through long-range sensors. The Altari ambassador, Dan Kex, contacted the Galactic Council in panic. "The humans are not what we thought," he reported. "Their technology is decades ahead of ours. They have been hiding their true capabilities for 50 years. The reptilian species, who had remained neutral in galactic conflicts, began withdrawing their ships from human space. The bird-like featherlings, who had traded with humans for years, realized they had been dealing with sleeping giants. The Koran retreat within 6 hours. Half the Koran fleet was destroyed or disabled. Admiral Vex ordered a retreat, but the humans had anticipated this. They had positioned ships at every possible escape route. "Let me speak to your leader," Vex transmitted desperately. "We can negotiate. We can reach an agreement." Captain Miller's. Response was cold. You had your chance to negotiate when you attacked the Aurora. You chose to murder children instead. There will be no negotiations. The hunt begins. The surviving Koran ships scattered across the galaxy, but the humans followed. They tracked down every vessel, every survivor, every witness to the massacre. The hunt was methodical, relentless, and terrifying. Species that had never paid attention to humans suddenly found themselves studying everything about Earth's history. What they discovered chilled them to their core. The Altari historian, Dr. Blue Feather, published an emergency report. Humans have fought wars for their entire existence. They have survived ice ages, plagues, and disasters that would have destroyed any other species. They are not peaceful by nature. They choose to be peaceful. There is a difference. The message spreads as news of the battle reached every corner of the galaxy. Other species began to understand the truth. Humans had not been weak. They had been patient. They had not lacked military power. They had chosen not to use it. The Koran Empire sent desperate messages to their allies, begging for help. But species that had once feared Koran power now feared human vengeance more. The new reality as Part 2 ends. The galaxy realizes it has been living next to predators who chose to be peaceful. The human defense force continues its systematic destruction of Koran assets, showing no mercy and accepting no surrender. Ambassador Tom Gray addresses the Galactic Council. For 50 years, we have been model citizens. We have followed your laws, respected your customs, and avoided conflict. But you have learned something important today. There is a difference between cannot fight and will not fight. The Korans learned this difference too late. The awakening was complete. Humanity had shown its true face to the galaxy. 1 week after the first battle, the Koran Empire was learning what it meant to be hunted by humans. Their scattered fleets found no safe harbor in the galaxy. Human ships appeared everywhere, striking, without warning and vanishing, before reinforcements could arrive. Admiral Vex had escaped the first battle with only 12 ships from his original fleet of 60. He thought he could hide in the outer rim, among the asteroid fields where sensors couldn't track him easily. He was wrong. Commander Lisa Stone found him there. The Predator's mind, target acquired, Lisa reported to Fleet Command. Her ship, the Vengeance, hung in space like a shark waiting to strike. Around her, 5 other human vessels remained invisible, their stealth systems making them ghosts in the darkness. Lisa had studied the Koran tactics for days. She knew how they thought, how they moved, how they tried to escape. Humans had always been good at hunting. They had tracked mammoth across ice plains and lions through African grasslands. Now they hunted spaceships across the galaxy. They're trying to reach the jump point, her tactical officer, Lieutenant Bob Rush, reported. Same pattern as the others. Then we give them what they expect, Lisa said calmly. Move to intercept. Let them see us coming. The psychological war. Human strategy was not just about destroying ships. It was about destroying hope. Every Koran who escaped carried the same message. Humans were everywhere, and they never stopped hunting. On the Koran homeworld, Emperor Thek paced his throne room in rage and fear. Reports came in every hour. Another outpost destroyed. Another supply convoy captured. Another fleet eliminated. How many ships do they have? He demanded from his generals. Unknown, my lord, General Rock replied nervously. They appear to have vessels we never knew existed. Their technology is beyond our understanding. The truth was worse than they knew. Humans had been building ships in secret for decades. Hidden shipyards in asteroid belts. Factories on the dark sides of planets. While the galaxy thought humans were peaceful traders, they were preparing for a war they hoped would never come. The Trap Admiral Vex thought he was clever. He had sent false signals, making it appear his ships were heading to the Zeta system. In reality, he planned to double back and attack a human colony while their fleets were busy chasing shadows. Lisa Stone had anticipated this. She had learned to think like her enemy, to predict their desperate moves. When Vex turned his ships toward the human colony of New Texas, she was waiting. "You came here to hurt more of our people," she broadcast to the Coron fleet. "You came here to kill more of our children." The battle that followed was not really a battle. It was an execution. The demonstration, the human ships moved with perfect coordination. They had trained together for decades, their crews knowing each other's thoughts before they were spoken. The Corans fought with desperation, but desperation was no match for cold, calculated fury. Lisa's ship disabled the Dark Fang without destroying it. She wanted Admiral Vex alive. She wanted him to carry a message. "Admiral Vex," she transmitted to his crippled vessel. "I am Commander Lisa Stone. Captain Rex Stowe of the Aurora was my father. Dr. Maya Bell was my godmother. You killed them both. You killed 22 children who were flying to see their families." Vex's response came through static. "Please, we can negotiate. We can pay compensation. You can listen." Lisa cut him off. "You will return to your homeworld. You will tell your emperor exactly what happened here. You will tell him that humans remember every face, every name, every life you took, and you will tell him that we are coming." The message Lisa allowed one Coran ship to escape. It carried Admiral Vex and his remaining crew back to their homeworld. The message they brought was clear. Humans did not just fight wars. They hunted their enemies with the patience of predators and the memory of elephants. The galaxy watched in fascination and terror as the human hunt continued. Species that had once dismissed humanity as weak now studied their every move. The Altari began sharing their historical records about human warfare. The reptilians started offering tribute, hoping to stay neutral. The spreading fear other species, allied with the Corans, began to reconsider their loyalties. The Brutok Confederation, known for their own military might, quietly withdrew their support. The Hive Mind Collective, which had provided intelligence to the Corons, went silent. Emperor Thak received the same message from all his former allies. "The humans are your problem now." The hunt continues as Part 3 ends. The systematic destruction of Coran forces continues across the galaxy. Human fleets operate with surgical precision, destroying military targets while avoiding civilian casualties. This restraint makes them even more terrifying to their enemies. The galaxy begins to understand that humans do not fight like other species. They fight with rules, with honor, but also with an implacable determination that never stops, never forgives, and never forgets. The hunt was far from over. 2 months after the Aurora massacre, Coran homeworld of Korath had never seen enemy ships in its skies. For 300 years, the Coran Empire had been the hunters, not the hunted. Their massive orbital stations bristled with weapons. Their planetary shields could stop the strongest attacks. They believed their world was safe. They were wrong. The gathering Stormfleet Admiral Kate Ross stood on the bridge of the human flagship Girth Fury, watching the Coran homeworld grow larger on the screen. Around her ship, the largest human fleet ever assembled moved through space like a storm cloud of metal and fury. 250 ships. Every human vessel that could fight had come to Korath. They came from Earth, from the colonies, from the hidden bases that the galaxy never knew existed. They came for justice. "Admiral," Captain Dan Wells reported from the communications station, "we're receiving surrender offers from the Coran government. They want to negotiate." Admiral Ross's voice was ice cold. "Tell them the time for negotiation ended when they killed our children. Tell them we're here for a reckoning." The final offer Emperor Thak made one last desperate attempt to avoid the coming storm. He broadcast a message to the human fleet, his voice shaking with fear and rage. "Humans of Earth," he said, "we offer you tribute. We offer you territory. We offer you anything you want. But you must stop this madness. You must accept our surrender." Admiral Ross's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "Emperor Thak, you had your chance to avoid this. When you ordered the attack on the Aurora, you chose war. When you murdered our children, you chose this ending. We do not accept your surrender. We accept only your defeat." The defense, the Corran defense, was everything they had. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier fought for their homeworld. Their orbital stations opened fire with weapons that could destroy moons. Their planetary shields flared with energy that lit up the entire system. It was not enough. Their revelation, the human fleet, moved with tactics the galaxy had never seen. They didn't charge forward in a massive assault. They didn't try to overwhelm the defenses with numbers. Instead, they fought like humans had always fought, with intelligence, patience, and devastating effectiveness. The human ships worked in perfect coordination. Some vessels drew fire while others flanked around. Some ships provided cover while others struck at weak points. It was like watching a pack of wolves bring down a giant. But the real shock came when the humans revealed their secret weapon. The hammer, the Earth's fury, was not just a battleship. It was a mobile weapons platform carrying technology the humans had developed in secret for decades. As the Corran defenses focused on the fleet, Admiral Ross activated the ship's main weapon. The gravitational pulse cannon fired once, a single shot that bent space itself, creating a gravity well that pulled the orbital stations out of position. The Corran shields, designed to stop energy weapons, were useless against a weapon that manipulated the laws of physics. "This is human science," Admiral Ross broadcast to the galaxy. "This is what we built while you thought we were weak. This is what we can do when we choose to fight." The breaking point, the battle, lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the Corran Empire was broken. Their fleets were destroyed. Their orbital defenses were wreckage. Their planetary shields were down. The tribunal, Admiral Vex, was brought before a human military tribunal. The charges were simple: murder of civilians, attack on non-combatants, and crimes against humanity. The evidence was the footage from the Aurora, the testimonies of survivors, and the records from his own ship. "You started this war," Commander Lisa Stone told him. "You chose to kill our children. You chose to provoke a species that wanted only peace." Vex's response was bitter. "We did not know. We could not have known what you really were." "That," Lisa said coldly, "was your mistake." The new reality, as Part 4 ends, the Corran Empire has ceased to exist. Their territories are occupied by human forces. Their leaders face justice for their crimes. Their people learn to live under human law. The galaxy watches in stunned silence as humans demonstrate something unprecedented. They have won a total victory, but chosen to be merciful to those who did not fight. They have shown they can be both terrible in war and just in peace. The reckoning was complete. The galaxy would never again mistake human kindness for weakness. The message Admiral Ross's final broadcast to the galaxy was simple: "We are returning to our homes now. We hope never to fight such a war again. But remember what you have seen here. Remember what happens when peaceful people are pushed too far. Remember that some lines should never be crossed." 3 months after the fall of Korath Galactic, Council Chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from 47 species sat in stunned silence as Ambassador Tom Gray walked to the center podium. The human diplomat looked older than his years, carrying the weight of a war that had changed everything. "Honored delegates," he began, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. We gather today to discuss the future of our galaxy. Recent events have shown us all that we have much to learn about each other. In the months since the fall of the Koran Empire, the galaxy had been in chaos. Species that had depended on Koran protection scrambled to find new allies. Trade routes that had been controlled by Koran forces were now open. Most importantly, every species was asking the same question. Who were the humans really? The history. Lesson Ambassador Gray activated a holographic display showing Earth's history. Images of ancient human civilizations flashed across the chamber. Wars, empires, discoveries, and disasters played out in three-dimensional detail. My species has a saying, Gray said. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Today, I will teach you our history so you can understand our actions. The display showed humans fighting with stone tools, then bronze, then iron. It showed armies marching across continents, navies crossing oceans, and eventually ships reaching for the stars. We have fought wars for over 10,000 years. Gray continued. We have conquered and been conquered. We have built empires and watched them fall. We have learned that war is sometimes necessary, but peace is always preferable. The revelation the Altari representative, Ambassador Blue Wing, stood up nervously. Ambassador Gray, why did your species hide this from us? Why did you pretend to be peaceful traders when you possessed such military power? Gray's answer silenced the chamber. We were not pretending. We are peaceful. But peace is not the same as weakness. We chose not to fight because we knew the cost of war. We had hoped you would never force us to remember. The holographic display showed the aftermath of human wars. Cities in ruins, families destroyed, civilizations collapsed. It showed the price humanity had paid for its violent past. We came to the stars to escape this, Gray said. We wanted to build something better. We wanted to be the species that chose peace over conquest, cooperation over conflict. For 50 years, we succeeded. The choice the reptilian delegate, General Scale, hissed softly. But you built weapons in secret. You prepared for war while speaking of peace. How can we trust you? Gray's response was immediate. Because we had a choice. When the Korans attacked the Aurora, we could have responded with our full military might immediately. We could have destroyed their homeworld in the first strike. Instead, we gave them chances to surrender, opportunities to negotiate, and time to reconsider. The chamber fell silent as delegates realized the truth. Humans had not fought with their full strength from the beginning. They had escalated slowly, hoping the Korans would see reason. We revealed our weapons gradually, Gray continued. We hoped that showing our power would end the war quickly. We hoped that demonstrating our resolve would prevent further bloodshed. We were wrong about the Korans, but we were right about ourselves. The new understanding the Featherling representative, Speaker Brightsong, chirped anxiously. What do you want from us now? What are humanity's demands? Gray smiled sadly. We want what we have always wanted. Peace. We want to trade with you, learn from you, and explore the galaxy together. We want to return to our colonies and forget about war. But we also want you to remember what you have seen. He gestured to the display, which now showed the ruined Koran fleets and the occupied territories. We want you to remember that there is a difference between a species that cannot fight and a species that chooses not to fight. We want you to remember that some actions have consequences that cannot be undone. The new rules the Galactic Council voted unanimously to adopt the human protocols, new laws protecting civilian vessels and non-combatants. The attack on the Aurora had shown the galaxy that their old ways of accepting military aggression were no longer viable. These protocols exist, Gray explained, because we have learned that civilized species must have lines that cannot be crossed. The Korans crossed those lines. They discovered what happens when peaceful people are pushed beyond their limits. The promise as the session ended, Gray made a final statement. My species returns to our quiet existence now. We will trade with you, explore with you, and learn with you. But we will also remember this war. We will remember who stood with us and who remained silent. We will remember who protected the innocent and who ignored their suffering. The message was clear. Humanity would be peaceful, but they would never again be underestimated. The galaxy had learned the difference between kindness and weakness, between patience and surrender. The memorial, the final image on the display, showed a monument. On Earth, a simple stone with 50 names carved into it. The crew and passengers of the Aurora, including 22 children, were remembered forever. Below their names, a single line. They crossed the line. We remember. 1 year after the Aurora massacre, the galaxy had changed. Trade routes that once belonged to the Koran Empire now carried ships from dozens of species. Colonies that lived in fear of Koran raids now prospered in peace. The human protocols had become the foundation of galactic law, and no species dared to attack civilian vessels. But the biggest change was in how the galaxy viewed humanity. The quiet return Captain Jake Miller stood on the Bridge of the Thunder, watching his crew prepare for decommissioning. The great human war fleet was returning to its hidden bases, its weapons powered down, its crews heading home to families they had not seen in months. Hard to believe it's over, Lieutenant Sarah Cross said, looking out at the stars. It's not over, Miller replied quietly. It's just beginning. Now we have to live with what we've done and what we've shown the galaxy about ourselves. The human ships had not celebrated their victory. There had been no parades, no triumphant speeches, no conquest of defeated territories. They had simply completed their mission and prepared to return to the peaceful existence they had always preferred. The new Respect Ambassador, Tom Gray, walked through the halls of the Galactic Council building, noting how different his reception was now. Species that had once barely acknowledged his presence now stopped to bow respectfully. Guards who had once ignored him now snapped to attention when he passed. Asterisk. It was not the kind of respect he had wanted. Ambassador Gray, the Altari representative, Blue Wing, approached nervously. My government wishes to discuss a new trade agreement. We believe our species can benefit from closer cooperation. Gray smiled politely. We have always been open to fair trade. Ambassador Blue Wing, nothing has changed in that regard. But everything had changed. The Altari were not offering trade out of mutual benefit. They were offering it out of fear. They had seen what happened to those who crossed humanity, and they wanted to ensure they remained on the good side of the galaxy's new apex predator. The Children's Memorial on the human colony of New Hope, the destination the Aurora had never reached. A memorial garden bloomed with flowers from Earth. 22 small stones bore the names of the children who had died in the attack. Families came here to remember, to mourn, and to understand why their quiet species had gone to War. Commander Lisa Stone visited the memorial every month. She would sit beside the stone, bearing the name of 8-year-old Tim Wells, the youngest victim, and explain to him why his death had changed the galaxy. They didn't understand us, she would say quietly. They thought kindness was weakness. They thought patience was cowardice. You helped teach them the difference, Tim. I'm sorry the lesson cost so much. The former empire, the former Koran territories, were now administered by the Galactic Council, with human oversight to ensure the transition to peaceful governance. The Koran people themselves were learning to live without the military empire that had defined their culture for centuries. On the former Koran homeworld, now called New Korath, children attended schools where they learned about cooperation instead of conquest. They studied the history of the Aurora massacre as a lesson in why aggression against innocence was never acceptable. Former Admiral Vex, now serving a life sentence in a human prison, spent his days writing memoirs that would never be published. "We thought we were strong," he wrote. "We thought conquest made us powerful. We never understood that true strength comes from choosing not to use your power unless you must." The watchers in the depths of space, hidden human monitoring stations, kept watch over the galaxy. The war was over, but humanity would never again be caught unprepared. If another species decided to test human resolve, if another empire chose to attack civilians, the response would be swift and decisive. Fleet Admiral Kate Ross, now retired to a quiet farm on Earth, kept a communication device by her bedside. If it ever activated, she would return to command the human fleet one more time. She prayed it would never be necessary. The new generation in schools across human space. Children learned about the war their parents had fought. They learned about the aurora, about the price of peace, and about the responsibility that came with power. "Why did we fight?" a young student asked her teacher. "Because sometimes," the teacher replied, "good people must do terrible things to protect the innocent. But we must never forget that fighting should always be the last choice, never the first." The final message as the story ends: humanity has returned to its peaceful existence, but the galaxy remembers. Trade flourishes under the protection of the human protocols. Exploration continues with new respect for civilian safety. Wars still happen, but they follow rules that protect the innocent. The memorial on Earth bears a new inscription, added 1 year after the massacre. They crossed the line and learned why humanity should never be provoked. May this lesson never need to be taught again. In the end, the galaxy had learned the most important truth about humanity. They were not warriors who chose peace, but peaceful people who could become warriors when they had no other choice. The difference had changed everything. Overall theme: the story explores how a peaceful species can become the most dangerous when their values are violated, and how true strength sometimes requires the wisdom to remain quiet until action is absolutely necessary. Asterisk.